Hi everyone, and welcome to the Wise Woman podcast. It is so good to be back on your screen. And yes, we have a guest this week. I'm so happy that we've got guests back. We've had a few months of just teaching, but God has been very faithful. He's gave us a topic of talking about purpose, and we've had people come on and talk about what God is doing in their lives and with their lives and how they are personally living out their purpose. I have an amazing guest today. She's a wonderful, wonderful woman of God, and I strongly believe in what the Lord is doing in and through her for her generation. And she's just had wonderful career stories. And today we're talking about specifically career transitioning and just how to really navigate that season. You know, we all go through different phases in life. And I think for those of us who are in corporate or you're just working your way, building a career that God is building for you, get ready for transition. I feel like a lot of people are going to go through that season, especially with the advent of AI and things that are happening. But before we go too far, do me a favor, help me share this with somebody. Remember, the Wise Woman podcast is not just for women, but help me share this with your colleagues, your mothers, your sisters, your brothers, your friends. Let them jump on today's podcast. This just might be a blessing to them. God's wisdom flows from this podcast, okay? We share the knowledge of God, the wisdom of God that's going to help you and just facilitate whatever you're going through. So make sure you can share across TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, across all our platforms, YouTube as well. So I'm going to bring on my amazing guest and I'm going to let her introduce herself. And we're going to jump right in today's podcast. Grace, how are you doing?
Hi, good afternoon, ma'am. How are you too?
Oh, please, for the sake of the podcast, just call me Estah.
Okay.
She's so sweet. She's such a sweet. So it's so good to finally have you. When God spoke to me, he said, get her on. I was like, really? He's like, yeah, get her on. I was like, oh, fantastic. So I know that God has a plan. And I've kind of just been watching you grow and blossom. It's been about 7 years. I think it could have almost been 10 years by now that we've been connected. And it's just now that God's really getting us to kind of just connect a bit more and just really talk. How are you doing? How's everything going on with you?
I'm doing very well, thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me over for this podcast. I've been looking forward to it since the last time we saw, because you're someone I've been watching up from afar for years. Like you mentioned, close to 7 to 10 years that we've been connected.
Yeah.
So the first time I met you, I was awestruck, like, wow, this is Estah in real life. But I had to compose myself, But deep inside of me, I was dancing with excitement. So it's such an honor to be here to have to do this with you. So thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for saying yes. I'm equally honored, and I just know that God's doing amazing things. And for me, I'm always trying to impact lives. I realized that when I was young, I didn't really have people that one I could look up to, and people who really loved God and had a balance of the love of God, but just had a balance of living out their lives as well. Sometimes people were quite extreme for me, and I never identified with that. I just needed people who were balanced. Right, you loved God, but you also had a career, you had a path, because these were the things that God was doing in my life. And I know very well about transitioning. I've worked in about 4 or 5 different industries, believe it or not. So it's a very hot topic for me. I've transitioned from one industry to another several times. This is a great topic for us to kind of kick off with. But we're a faith-based platform. So talk about yourself, introduce yourself, whatever you want everyone to know. First and foremost, a little bit about your background, and then also how you came to faith. How did you get to know the Lord? What was your journey as well?
Okay, so thank you so much for that question. Whenever I'm told to introduce myself, I'm always wondering, what should I say? What should I not say? But for the purpose of this podcast, my name is Grace Akubuike, popularly known as Gracia, because I have a brand. I used to be a musician, so yeah. Currently, I work as a marketing executive for an energy and power sector industry. I basically love education. It's something that has a soft spot in my heart. So wherever somebody's learning something, you find me there. So because of that, I was able to build an organization called ABC Penthouse that caters to entrepreneurs who do not know their way around business to learn how to grow their business from scratch using global best practices. And so far, we've been able to impact over 300 entrepreneurs across 14 countries by the grace of God. Um, I have other things that I do by the side, but for the purpose of this, we'll just stick to ABC Penthouse for now. Um, so basically, my life as a Christian, or how I came into being a Christian, I was born into a Christian family, family of six. My parents are amazing people, and I because I was born in church, you can call me a church girl because I spent most of my years there, and I was also part of the choir. I served as a chorister for a very long time, which
Hmm.
led me to discover that, oh, I have a gift in singing ministry, and people get to share their testimonies when I'm doing ministry. I'm like, okay, fine, let's put this thing into a work of art. So I recorded like two songs,
Nice.
and I was also inspired by Esther here because her songs are so glorious. I mean, I'm like, if somebody can do it, I can do it. And so I've recorded two
Yes.
songs, Open My
I love
Heart,
that.
and yeah, Open My Heart, and one other one. See, it's been a long. So I actually left music for a while.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I Guarantee. Forgive me, I Guarantee was the first song I released, and Open My Heart.
Nice.
So yes. So basically, right now, I'm basically just being here, being in the present, and enjoying what life has to offer. Thank you.
I love that. And thank you for a very thorough and beautiful intro. And one of the things I noticed, and I say this to people, you're not just one thing. As God's people, we're always multi-talented. And I say to people, there are different facets and different stages of your life. I spent the very first part of my whole life, of everything my whole life, definitely in the music ministry, but in the background, God was building a corporate career. A lot of people didn't know that. But I started off very late in corporate myself, and I'll talk about that as we dive into tonight's topic. But when I was really young, I had a gift, but I just wanted to be a pop star. So I pursued music, secular music at that for a very long time, till my mid-20s, until God said to me, "Are you okay?" The Lord was like, I don't know you're my child. What are you doing? So at that point, I started corporate very late. I didn't leave university thinking I was going to have a career, and I've had several, and it's been well over 2025. It's been a long journey, so I can
Wow.
speak to this very much. And I said that to say this, and I love the fact that your creative side, your worship side, your singing side, the honors God. And I say to people, you're not just one thing. You can sing in a choir and be CEO at the same time. Right? You could be an usher and run a multinational business. Our service to God is birthed from our love of God, and also because He gives us the grace, the gifts, and the talents to do multiple things. But today we'll talk about career. We'll talk about what God's doing in your career and how this can help others. Talk to me about. Let's go back to when you were young. What kind of dreams and ambitions did you have, and what were your aspirations in terms of what you're going to be doing?
Thank you for that question. So when I was way younger, say six, seven, because
Hmm.
I had a very big um, aspiration when I was way younger. So I wanted to be so many things because I hear people say, "Oh, jack of all trades, master of none," and oftentimes I got to realize that that statement is actually incomplete, right? So I wanted to be so many things. I wanted to be an actress first, and I also wanted to be a newscaster because there was this lady in my street back then. She was a broadcaster, and I loved how she spoke on TV. As a matter of fact, while I was still in secondary school, I had to go meet her sometimes to coach me, and I had to introduce something in my school at the time. I met my principal and said, I want to be reading news in school every morning, give you daily updates of what's going on in school. And that's how I started speaking to people publicly, right? So every day I would come and meet students and say, what's going on in your class? What's going on with the teachers? And then they'll share and I'll put it together. I'll go and meet the broadcaster and say, what do you think of this script? Is it good? And she would correct what she needs to correct. And on Monday, yeah, in the morning during the assembly time, I'll just come up and read the script, and I was basically building myself right from time. Fast forward to now, I would say all those things I did back then has built the person I am now, because that also has actually shaped how I speak with people publicly, and also my presentation skills as well. So I would say actress, broadcaster, yeah, when I was way younger.
How did that turn out? Did you pursue any of those things, or what are you doing now?
Okay, so actress, nah, that dream died with me being 12 or 13 years old. Broadcaster, not exactly, but I eventually started doing something related to it because I launched a brand called Gracie
Yeah.
the Arts, which
Hmm.
caters to businesses in terms of ushering, voiceover, red carpet event hosting. I was doing all of this while in school just to be
Nice.
able to, help myself with little things here and there. And it became a company at the end of the day. And I got my first international deal from
Fantastic.
what I started off as a side hustle, right? So it was strange and also very fulfilling for me knowing that something I started doing because, oh, I didn't want to call home for money for school fees
Yeah.
and all, grew into something that someone from the United States had to contract me for a job and paid me my first 1 million naira as a 300 level student of Uniben. So I was like, what? So this is actually possible
Look at
to
that.
get paid for things I do for free. So
Yeah.
that actually shaped my mind and made me realize that, girl, you have so much to offer and people are gonna pay for it. So
Yeah.
yes.
Do you know what? I love that because everyone knows Nigeria can be a tough place and people make excuses, right? You
Mm-hmm.
can make excuses to go and find money in all sorts of dubious ways, or you can trust God
Mm-hmm.
with your talent and put
True.
it to work. And I love the fact that you chose the latter. You saw yourself
Mm-hmm.
as someone who's dignified. You had the confidence to do
Yeah.
such a thing and really step out into that. And you're still very young, which for me I love. It's inspiring, and there are stories to tell, and you've still got a long journey to go in terms of being a blessing to so
Yeah.
many people. So in your
True.
career right now, let's talk about, because we're talking about career transitioning and
Yes.
how, in your mind, how do you define transitioning? What's transitioning to you? What's when I say, when we say career transitioning,
Yeah.
what are we actually talking about? What are we saying? How are we kind of dealing with that with people?
So I would say from my perspective, transitioning basically is moving from one professional path to another,
Hmm.
right? It could be from the industry, your role, your function, or even your level, right? Sometimes it could even be within the same industry but a different position. It could be that you took a long break from corporate world and you're trying to re-enter. That can also be termed as
Yeah,
transition. It could be you moving from tech to marketing or moving from customer service to banking. All of this can be termed as transitioning, and people do this for various reasons. So, yeah.
fantastic. So this covers everybody. So guys, if you're listening and you find that this is where you're at, you might be working in the medical field, you want to get into the corporate field, you want to get into tech, and there's so many things. You just want to change the way by which you make money. Also, you might want to leave corporate and become an entrepreneur, right? You just want to
Mm-hmm.
transition into something different. As Grace said, it covers all of the ways in which we move and change our career and the way in which we make money and things like that. So it's not just a case of moving from one industry to another. We can transition within industries and also
Yes.
within roles up and down. So what kind of transitions have you experienced? Talk to me a little bit about some of the transitions you've faced in your early career and how you kind of navigated some of that. But before you started that, what led to that? So where were you? What led to that was it a feeling? Did you just know that you wanted more? You were dissatisfied? What led to the change that eventually came around when you just decided that it was time for something new?
Okay, thank you so much for that question. I'm going to refer back to your previous question about transitioning. So, there
Yeah.
are various reasons for people to transition. Some it could be for financial freedom, some it could be because they got informed by their family pressure, some it could be because they are indecisive of where they're at, some could be because of personal fulfillment. So, these are various reasons here.
Mm,
And I do know that one of my researches that I made in 2024, right, the World Economic Forum mentioned that from their report that there is going to be a whole lot of restructuring going on in the corporate world. This
mm,
is because they estimated that so many millions, right, would need to upskill to be able to fit with the new AI adoptions and the tech that is going on. So having this information on this hand and having these skills on this hand, I had to weigh my options and say,
yeah.
girl, what are you doing now that you can be replaced with an AI machine? Right. So I had to put all of this together. And previously, I started out as because while I was in school, oh, backstory, while I was in school, doing all of these things that I mentioned that made me create a business called Gracia the Arts that caters
Mhm.
for red event hosting and voiceover and all of those things. I was also working
Mm.
as what was my role? I don't know, but I was doing so much there. So it was like a computer center in University of Benin where students come to print. So you can call me a secretary. So I was basically like a secretary, right? But before then, I'm so sorry, I have so many work
No,
stories.
go for it, go for
Okay,
it.
so once I finished my secondary school, in my family, my dad makes it compulsory for everyone to go get like a computer training of some sort. So we do this for like 6 months after you write your work and all that, so it can be useful to yourself,
Yeah,
right? And get prepared for
smart
the
man.
corporate world. Yes. So I did mine for 3 months. My siblings did for 6 months, but I did for 3 months. So naturally, I learned very fast. So after 3 months, the people that I worked with or I learned with realized that, oh, we actually need your skills here. So they retained me and they employed me. So I
Nice.
started working there as a secretary and training people on how to use computer softwares and all of that. Afterwards, I got an admission into school. But before I got the admission, I left the job because my dad said, fine, let's establish you. I can see so many potentials. So let's get you
Mm,
your own computer center. Back then, where people still get to buy recharge cards to browse on the internet and buy
yeah,
recharge cards. So he established like a business for me like that too. But
amazing.
I got an admission. So when I got admission, I didn't want to carry these things with me to school. So I just um, sold them off and went to school. Now, my study was part time because I had the option of full time, and part time came first. So I took it,
Hmm.
right? So I took that and I started working. I was working as a secretary, like I earlier mentioned, and
Hmm.
doing all the things. So during the week, Monday to Friday, I am a secretary in one small shop,
Sure.
working and typing and all of that stuff. Weekends, I am in class. And
Okay.
in all of these classes, I get jobs to come and host an event. So either I
Yeah.
skip a class or I take the job. I just find a way to mix it.
Oh,
And I was
because
still
of
in
the
the
weekend.
choir.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was still in the choir as well. So if I'm going to be at the rehearsal, it means I'm skipping a class. If I'm going
Yeah.
to be in class, it means I'm missing rehearsal. So
Yeah.
it was a whole lot for me, but I just had to find a way to sort myself out because I don't know how, but I think I got it from my mom to be very independent. So my mom,
Yeah.
she's very skillful. So she was like a role model for me. So doing all of these things, putting all of my skills together just to make money, just so I don't call. I just did not want to call home and ask for money. Not because they
Mm.
won't give it to me, because I just didn't want to. So if I'm going home, it's just to see them, but not ask for money back. I
I
feel like
love
at that
them.
stage of my
Yeah.
life, I should be the one supporting them because they've done so much for me. Right. So after this time, I resigned from this work in school. I
Hmm.
think I was in 400 level at the time, so I resigned because I was tired of the job. In
Yeah.
all honesty, I was tired because I get tired when I feel like my wings are growing and I'm put in a cage.
So that's the first transition, right? You felt that the growth was needed. So
Yes,
this
I
time
felt
you
like
wanted to grow.
I'm tired of
Yeah.
this routine that I'm doing. I needed to grow. Oh, this was in 300 level. It was
Yeah.
after I left. After I left, I started doing more of the things that I wanted to do, being a model, ushering,
Yeah.
voiceover, red carpet stuff, just to be able to make some money. Was when I got the job, the international job that made me my first 1 million. And guess what I was earning back then in that school? I think 15,000. It started with 10,000, and then they moved to 15,000. This is not so far. I got admission in 2023, 2024. So this is probably 20, like
Recent.
2026,
Yeah.
2027. So
Yeah.
that was my salary. I'm like, please, I beg, can we do something better?
Of
So
course.
yes, but the good thing about that season of my life was at that point I needed to be there because the person I worked with was such an amazing man, Pastor Ben.
Mm,
He was beyond a boss. He acted like a father to me,
mm.
shielded me from the things that happened in school. So
Yeah.
if I have issues, I run to him. Look at what happened, and
Yeah.
he will advise me. So at that stage, I needed to be with him
It wasn't
at
about
that
the
spot.
money. God was just
Yes,
giving you that relationship for
yes. So I had
protection
to
and
be there
hopefully
at
for
that time to
yeah.
learn what I need to learn and be shielded by someone who is wiser than me. So after then, I transitioned again. So after I finished school, right, in Benin, because I went to University of Benin, um, I had the nudge in my spirit to move to Lagos. I had told a very popular person in Lagos, one of the
Yeah.
ministers here. She had
Mhm.
called me and I said, "Oh, I'm going to move to Lagos after I graduate." I was like, "Oh, when you get here, just give me a call." I haven't made that call yet, but soon maybe I will. And yeah, so and then COVID happened because all of this was during 2020 and COVID happened to everybody.
Yeah.
And after the COVID whole drama subsided, the voice came back, move.
Mm.
This time I had a job at the a government office in Edo State that I had quit because I also felt I was put in a box when I knew that I had wings to fly. So I left that job as well. And I was doing a whole lot of things there as well. I was doing customer service, customer
Yeah.
support, because it was during the COVID time. So I was one of the people who were one of the rapid response people for COVID escalations and
Okay.
all
Yeah.
the medical help. Yes. So after that, I left and then I started a business called Six Scan. So I started a business called Siscan. I basically just use hibiscus flowers to make
Mm-hmm.
drinks, to make tea. I ordered my tea bags from China. I
Amazing.
packaged it. I didn't look like I was from my products didn't look like they were coming out from a Benin person
Local.
per
Yes.
se.
Yes.
So and then I started distributing to supermarkets, but it still wasn't enough because I didn't have the whole client base at the time.
Yeah.
So when it was time to move, I still didn't have enough money to move to Lagos. So what did I do? So I'm not saying so if you're going to be watching this or someone who needs to watch this, please, I'm not advising you to. You could ask from family or friends.
Be
But
led
I
by God.
yes, be led by God. But in my situation, I took a loan from the bank.
Hmm.
So I took 100,000 naira from the bank. I didn't know how I was going to pay back, but I knew I will be able to pay back because
Yes.
at this point, I wasn't doing things out of my will. Something was pushing me. The Holy Spirit was
Yeah.
basically pushing me. And then I got to Lagos. I got to Lagos. A friend of mine said, "You know what? There's a show going on. You need to be on the show. It's like a game show, and I want some money from the show." So I
Ah.
used some of the money to settle the bill,
Yes.
the loan that I took, and then I started job hunting. So God bless my friend Gift or Moigui, wherever she is right now. I know she went for a job, but if she gets to watch this, God bless
God
you.
bless you, gifts.
Yes. So we already had plans of moving in together because she just recently moved, but got her place. Glory
Wow.
be to God. So she was like, "You're gonna stay with me?" Yeah. I'm like, "Yeah, sure." I didn't have the fear of girls staying together having issues. We never had that. And
Yeah.
I came to Lagos. She shielded me. She gave me somewhere to stay. She fed me, she clothed me, everything,
Wow.
right? I didn't get to experience all the Lagos buzz and all the
Shenanigans. Yeah.
drama. Yes, I didn't experience that because we're always giving me premium treatment, right?
Yeah.
But something happened. The house we were staying was sold by the landlord, so we had to move.
Okay.
So we had to move. So all of this happened in a season where I was like, okay, God, so what did you say I should come and do in this Lagos? Because
Mm.
at the time I got a job when I came to Lagos first. The first month I got a job because the plan was let me just come and see if Lagos is where I want to be. And then I
Yeah.
came first month and then I got a job with the amount that I really wanted. They were gonna pay me. So I
Hmm.
said, babe, it's like I'll go and pack my things from Benin because I only brought few things initially
Yeah.
to just come and see how it is. And then I came back to Benin. I brought back all my property, only for me to work for 2, 3 months. I wasn't being paid.
Wow.
Yes. And I'm like, okay, that's the one I did do for here. When are you gonna pay me my money? So I had to stop the work because I mean, even if I worked for 6 months, it was obvious he wasn't gonna pay me. So I had to
How,
just quit.
how did it last so long? After the first month, I would have quit. What happened?
I did 3 months. I was hoping, having faith in the business that it would yield
Oh,
something for me to
yeah.
get, more to get by. But it didn't work out like that. So
Yeah.
I quit, and during that period, God brought someone into my life. One of my friends, God bless you. Um, he stood in the gap for me financially during that period. It
Yeah.
was not. I didn't ask. I would just sit and I receive an alert,
Wow.
and the inscription will be God said to send to you.
Yes.
And
Now, Gracie,
funny
just
thing
this
was,
there is
it
you
was timely, it was divine. Because when I
and
got
that.
a job, when I got a job, I told him about the job. And that was the moment I got the job, that credit alert from him stopped.
Yeah.
So it was for the time being.
Yes. And can I just add to that? When
Yes.
God orders your steps, because
Mhm.
the first transition was moving. Do you know how brave it is to be a young woman? You've just graduated from school, you're still studying, and you move to a completely different city. No friends, no family. You're just by
Yes.
yourself. God's instructions, faith, you're stepping out, not even sure what's going to happen. And God is giving you ideas. He's bringing people to literally
Hmm.
support you and help you on your journey while the plan is still unfolding. And this is the faithfulness of God. And that in itself is a transition, leaving your parents' house, number one, moving from one city to another and starting all over again without any guarantee. Because that's the thing with Nigeria. You're not
True.
guaranteed anything. You're not guaranteed
Yes.
accommodation, you're not guaranteed a job, you're not guaranteed income. It was just like, okay, God, I heard you, you spoke, and I'm gonna step out. I mean, was you afraid? What was going on in your mind? I mean, as you're speaking, it sounds great, comfortable, things are working out, but
To be honest, before I
what was your
left,
emotion like?
I had told my dad that I was going to move because my mom went for Omugo at the time. My sister gave birth, so she went to do Omugo. In
Mhm.
those who are not Nigerians, is taking care of a lady who just gave birth.
Yes.
So I told my dad. She said, "Have you told?" He said, "Have you told your mom?" I said, "No, I haven't. I'm telling you first because you are here. When she comes, I'll tell her." So like a week or two, she came back, and I also told her. So I noticed something, right? When I said it to them that mom, I want to move to Lagos.
Mm.
Um, I looked into their eyes. There was no fear. There was
Mm.
no disapproval. It was more of, okay, so how are you going to survive there? I'm like,
Mm.
I don't know. I be God speaking. When I get there, I will find out. Cause right now I don't have any money. I'm just gonna take a loan from the bank and go. Cause there's no money anywhere. And he said, kneel down. Let's pray for you.
Wow.
So I had with me a shield from my parents. So
Mm.
they prayed, they blessed me, and they said, "Go. We know who you are. We're not scared you're going to misbehave in Lagos. We know the child we've
Mm.
given birth to. don't forget where you're coming from. You know the Nigerian advice. Don't forget the home you're coming from. You're blessed, you're highly favored. With that, it gave me so much confidence. So I carried that blessing with me and I came to Lagos. So in all of this, was I scared? Of course I was. Did I wanted to go back home? A million times. I wanted to go back home to my family. But I just told myself I'm not the type that quits very easily. I don't know how to
Mhm.
quit that easily. So, and even when I fall, I know how to get back up quickly.
Yes.
So that actually helped me. And I also, I think I omitted something earlier. When I got the job, as a customer support, when I came to, like, after the other jobs that didn't get to pay me, I got like a proper job in a multinational, right? After the interview and everything, they said, oh, how much do you want to be paid? Prior to me leaving, okay, so before I left Benin, I
Mhm.
got a job on one of those remote platforms,
Mhm.
and it was basically just doing social media work, and they were going to pay me in dollars, and they paid a, am I allowed to say the figure?
Yeah, of course. Feel free.
Okay, so I was paid $2,000. This was far back as 2021. After I quit that
Nice.
job in the government house in
Hmm.
Edo State,
Hmm.
I got the job for $2,000, and the job was as easy as going to sleep and waking up.
Yes.
So I was like, is this actually possible? All I have to do was post on social
Yes.
media,
Yes.
because it was a social platform like Facebook and the
Yeah.
likes. I'm like, what are we doing?
Yes.
So God brought that job to carry me for a season. I kid you not.
Hmm.
That money, I used it judiciously, because for a whole year I didn't get another job.
Wow.
So that $2,000 I used to go to get my work kits and everything, and it carried me
Yeah, of course.
throughout the year.
In Naira, that was back then, it would be a couple of million Naira. So
It
that,
was it
yeah.
was about 800K at the time.
Okay.
It
Okay.
was about 800K. So because I was staying with my family, so I wasn't really spending so much of it. I just bought some
Okay.
few things that I needed,
Yeah.
yes, some gadgets, work gadgets. And that also did
Yeah.
something
So,
to me. So
mhm.
here I'm weighing how I got my first 1 million naira job as a 300 level student to Uniben. And here I'm seeing how I got $2,000 from just posting on social media when I feel like I've come to the end of the road because there was no
Mhm.
job offer coming anywhere.
Yeah.
So, how did I navigate this part? So, when I got the job here in Lagos, they said, oh, what was your last pay? I said $2,000. And they're like, okay, don't they do like that for you? So they're like, this is all we're paying, no, this is the rate too. I say, call it work. It's not gonna work. I cannot. You want to demote me from here to here?
Of
No.
course. You're used to big money instantly.
Yeah, so I said I was not going to take the job, so I
Yeah.
left. So I was asking for a certain amount. It wasn't as big as it obviously not going to
Yeah.
be because they were
Yeah.
paying in naira, but I
Yeah.
wanted like a certain amount, and he said, "Oh, we can't afford that. It's beyond our budget and all that." I said, "Okay, fine. I don't think I want to, but they're like, can you just think about it?" I'm like, "Okay, fine. Give me till COB, and I'll get back to you."
Hmm.
See, on my way out of the office, because I was about leaving, Holy Spirit said, go back.
Wow.
I'm like, go back and go and do what now? Chase the money they want to pay me. I cannot use it to do anything. It's not even up to what I spend on my data and my feed. It's what should I
Yeah.
am I going to be working for free? He said, go back. So I told the person that invited me, I said, okay, let's go back. I will take the offer. They're like, really? I said yes. So one of the persons that interviewed me said, this girl, she will not last in this place. I've seen it because my city was sieving
Yeah. Of
and
course.
my friends were experiencing. So
Uh-huh.
they're like,
Yeah.
she's not going to last here. But fast forward to, so I was hired as a customer support officer. Fast forward, this was in 2023. Um, and after like a year or two, about 2 years, so last year, they did like an increment and all that,
Hmm.
and they increased my salary to that amount I was asking for when I joined.
Awesome. So they had it.
So when I saw it, normally I'm supposed to be excited, yeah, but it
Yes.
made it made me really sad. I was really sad. And
Mm,
that very day was one of our week service days. So I just went to church because my heart was so heavy. I went to
mm,
church. I don't usually cry that much. So, sorry. I don't cry so much. I do
yeah.
it once in a while. But that day, my friend Gift, she literally wants me. She begs to see my tears because she's a crybaby. But I don't cry. So she was like, okay. So I went to church. I cried. I cried so much from the beginning of the service because service starts by 5:30 to 7 o'clock. From because I got to church earlier, so from 5:20 thereabout, I sat down. I started crying. I cried from that time till they said the grace. So in all of this, I was crying in lowercase because I didn't want to interrupt the service. I'm going to exaggerate a little bit now. The women that were sitting close to me, um, if they were to gather the tears, they would have drowned. That's how much I cried. But there was no
Wow.
sound. I was
Why was you
crying,
so
crying. I'm like,
upset?
God,
Why was you
why did it
overwhelmed with
take
emotion?
2 years for these people to pay me this amount that is not so
Mm,
much
yes.
compared to what I have within me, compared to what I have outward of me, like my
The
experience,
frustration.
my skills, everything that I do. I
Yes.
have been so diligent with my life. I have been very focused. I have been very everything good that I can think of.
I'm
I'm
just
like,
smiling at you because the thing with God, let me tell you something about God. We don't understand the training and the growth season. And when
yes,
God comes through, he comes through big. And I've
yes,
been there. When he does that, when he leaves you in a season for a long time, and I say to people, it's not always about the money. And I'll share with you a little bit later my current role and the
yeah,
crossroad that I had to face with regards to that. So it's never about the money. And I say to people, when it comes to your career, when I say it's not about the money, don't be too fixated. As long as you're walking with God, he's guiding you, he knows how much you need to survive and to live. Every step of the journey is always about your growth, either your growth personally or your growth career wise. You're learning lessons, not just learning lessons in terms of skills, people skills are the most important lessons you're going to have to learn. When I was
yeah,
younger, I used to have horrible managers. They taught me how to deal with horrible managers and they taught me how to not become a horrible manager myself. And you just learn being in a work environment is not always a Christian environment if you're not working in church. So you're at work with people who don't know your God, they don't send your God, they don't send you. They're focused on the bottom number, they're managing you, they have their personal issues. Some of them are good managers, some of them are bad managers. You are more likely learning. God is trying to bring something out of you because there's greater works, more important things that He's trying to get you to do. All this is just building building character, building capacity, building vision, learning organization, seeing how things run, understanding infrastructure, building your administrative skills, building your operational skills. All of these things are far much more important than your bottom line. Right. And so you talking about you crying, I'm just smiling because I think, this girl must have been heartbroken, not knowing that in fact the season and
yeah,
it's a sign of humility, obedience to listen to God, to take the job you didn't really want to, you overrode your own emotion, and it looked like you were going backwards. And I know in your mind you're thinking, how did it take 2 years to get to this point? That small money like this. In your mind, you think
yeah,
you're going backwards, but you've learned so much. You're basically an apprentice. God was not trying to get you a salary; He was trying to teach you something.
true.
And so I'm sure in hindsight, you see that now more than ever. So how have things been unfolding? How's the movement been career wise, and what has God done out of that season till now?
So I would like to finish that story.
Yes, please do.
Yeah. So when I was done crying in lowercase, I was led to speak to the pastor, Pastor Kinde. Um, I'm like, hello, ma. I've been led to come and talk to you. I don't really talk about my stuff to people. I don't know. I don't like to share, but I have been led to come and meet you. Look at what I am experiencing. They just increased my salary today. I'm supposed to come and give. See, don't get me wrong. I am entirely grateful for it. I'm grateful for the growth. However, just something in me is saying, like, there's more. There is more to this, right? And she's just held me and said that this is God trying to push me and make me know that. probably I may have been comfortable at where I've been, and I need to really spread my wings and fly. And this is God just trying to reaffirm it and just reassure me that there's actually more, and making me uncomfortable at the stage that I was. And she prayed for me, and
Mm.
honestly, she was saying the right words. Everything she said were spot on. You know, I was
Mm.
crying in lowercase before. So this time I started crying on uppercase. And everybody was looking towards our direction. I'm like, hey God. What? All my C's, yeah, God.
Ah,
Oh.
just increase the volume of your crying.
I was wailing. I was not crying. I was actually wailing.
Wow. You must
And
have been
after that,
overwhelmed with emotions.
yeah, so God gave me an assignment to do, and it took me a while, but I eventually did it because I hosted an event
Mhm.
recently, where I got to bring in founders, CEOs, entrepreneurs, even students from about four universities in Lagos State come together
Nice.
in a room to learn about how the industry works. For them to network with people, learn things they won't teach them in the classroom, things that I
Mm.
wasn't taught in the classroom, right? And at the end of the day, when I look back in hindsight, I realized that if it wasn't God, it wouldn't have happened. Because the
Mm.
partners that I had, the amount I spent, if I was working on my own accord, I would have spent times 10. But what I
Wow.
spent was very minute. And I
Mhm.
had partners work with me, and I had amazing people volunteer to work with me, professionals. I mean, so I did that. I mean, that was my first assignment to for me to move towards this path that God wants me to move into. And then all the while I have been improving myself. I love to upskill a lot. So I have been improving myself and realizing that, oh, I want to be a project manager. I'm pretty good at this thing. So let's make
Mhm.
it more professional. So I've taken courses. I even did my master's in American school, got an MBA scholarship, by the way, God did it. I got a scholarship, a full ride scholarship
Amazing.
for that. And so I just feel like God was pushing me somewhere. And now we're now in the present, right? This transitioning is happening, and there was an open position in my office. Now, this is me again, being tired of being a customer support officer after
Always
like 2 years.
growing.
Yes. So I was tired. I felt like, okay. This routine is getting boring now. Can we do something else? Can we use my skills? Because I felt like my skills were being underused.
Yes.
When you don't use something for a while, it starts
You might
getting
lose
bad.
it. Yeah.
Yes. So I felt like I had too many skills and experiences that were not utilized in that department.
Mm.
So I decided to reach out to my management at the office and say, you know what, I want to move. I want to move to a project management department. And they said, are you sure you want to do that? It's for engineers. I'm like, I can learn. And God opened a door using this person that I went to meet and said, there's a new position going on. Why don't you apply for it? I'm going to cut a long story short. After all the back and forths and all the challenges that I experienced, which I really do not want to talk about here, you know the story.
Yes.
Um, I would like to say that currently I have transitioned from being a customer support who was being paid this amount of money to being the marketing officer Nigeria for my company, a multinational. Um, I'm not going to say I am rich now financially because I'm
We're
very
on
far
our
from
way.
it. But right now, with all confidence, I would say I am
Yes.
rich in the knowledge that God is with me.
Yes.
I am rich in the knowledge that God guides me.
Powerful.
Even down to the most insignificant, he pays attention to it, and he has been guiding my steps. So now it makes more sense why he told me to go back to take the job, because he saw the future from the
Yes.
beginning,
Yeah.
right? What obviously I couldn't see. So the
Yeah.
journey has been amazing. I am so grateful to God for guidance and Holy Spirit too. So thank you.
And you're just starting because you're still young. And this isn't the thing is you're still in training. God has
Yes.
bigger. things for you, even outside of Nigeria. I can tell
Yes.
you that for free now.
Yes. Yes.
You
I'm a
know,
progress, work in
yeah,
progress, rather.
Nigeria is just a training ground for you. And the thing with God, when I was at the Next Level Prayer Conference in Lagos, what God
Yeah.
spoke to me about, the word He gave me was John 14:12, bigger works, bigger works. And you need to be in an environment where God will grow your faith, grow your vision, and grow capacity. The reason why you start feeling tired and like you're not doing enough because you've outgrown the role. You've outgrown the role. You've outgrown. You know what to do. You can do it in your sleep. It's no longer challenging to you. So you need something that's going to challenge you and grow your skill, grow your values, grow your ability while your career is growing. And I think you're in a great company. The fact that you even have the ability to ask to move from one department to another. And they're even encouraging to train internally. You know, they could have gone and got an external person for the role, but the fact that you were encouraged to even go for it means you're in a great environment, and God has put you in that place for
Yeah.
blessing. And I say to people, one of the things I did very early. So when I left school, the only plan I had was to become a pop star. I wasn't interested in career. Beyonce was my role model then. I was young. I was 17 when I left college. I didn't even want to go to university. I was like, eh? You're not going to where? Not in this house. God bless my mother. Sometimes we get so caught up in the systems. Oh, the kids here, they don't go to university. Yeah, they all got, God forgive me, jobs that's not really advancing them. Unfortunately, it gets like that. If they don't go to university, there's certain jobs you're going to get because they require a university degree. My mother forced me to go to university. And today I can look back and say, thank you. I was young, I was naive, I was talented. I wanted to be a model, I wanted to be a pop star. As far as I was concerned, that was the path I was on. God had other plans. So I went to university for my mum. In my mind, I don't care about this uni, but I went to a very good university. I was also good. I did marketing is actually a marketing and communications, commercial communication was my master, was my major degree. And then I did sociology. And so I have a blend of studying people and studying marketing. So it's almost relevant to how people buy, how people feel about emotional purchasing, things like that. So it was a very corporate degree and studying a lot of creative. It was a vast degree. I studied a lot of creative. But before I did that, I did law. I went to university to do law for a year. I've never failed an exam in my life, ever, until I did my first year of university. I hated it. The reading was too much. I kept saying, I said, Mum, this is not the right course for me because she picked the course. She's like, I'm going to go do law, blah, blah, blah. I was like, okay. Got into a top university. My A level grades were fantastic. My school grades were great. So I always got into top universities. And so I did law for a year. I hated it. I failed. I failed the retake in the summer. The only course I kept passing was contract law. That was the only one that made sense to me. I failed case law. I wasn't interested. Administrative law. I didn't care about the government. So first year law, you study every aspect of law. But business and commercial law was the only one that I was a little bit, okay, it's the only one that stuck. How's my camera doing that? Okay, it's the only one
Okay,
that
it's back.
stuck. Yeah, back in focus. Commercial law was the only one that stuck. It was the only one that was interesting to me. So that was the only one I
Yeah.
passed, but it wasn't enough for me to get into the second year. And I was very depressed. I was sad. And I said to my mum, I'm doing the wrong course and I'm at the wrong university. I mean, I don't struggle. I didn't make any friends for the whole year. I'm not joking. I didn't make any friends in my class. I just knew I was in the wrong school. So my mom's like, okay, if you want to drop out, you can drop out, but you're not going to school. I said, Mom, let me do what my strength is. I'm creative. Let me go and study advertising, marketing. This is where my strength is. She said, okay, just go. As soon as I got to university, and the first, I was like 2 weeks, though, 2 weeks in the course, and I went to see the dean. I was like, I want to transition. I've wasted a year doing law. The first thing she said to me, she looked at my grades, she looked at my background. She said, where have you been? And that where have you been almost felt like the voice of God, like, this is your school. I flourished in that school. I became the president of the student union. I made loads of friends. Within my first 6 months of being there, I had a life. And I suddenly realized, oh, this is what I was meant to be. I started the Christian union in the school. God really started to use me at the university. But in my mind, I was just going to church. I didn't have a plan of a corporate career. So when I left school, my cousin got me a job while I was at school as a receptionist for a high-end private private, I don't want to call it a gym, private health club, because
Yeah.
where it was located, for those in the UK will know Marylebone, Baker Street, these are really high-end places like Ikoyi, the equivalent of Ikoyi. People with money live there. It's like being a member of the Ikoyi club. Thousands of pounds a year membership was just ridiculous. So I got a job as a receptionist there. So I'd see movie stars. I'm talking about, if I mention their names, you'll know them. Movie stars were there. They all lived within that facilities. Musicians, very, very famous people used to come there, and they would tip us mad money, like £50, £100. You got a stupid tip as a receptionist, but I'd get there 5 a.m. in the morning because my job was to open it, smile, welcome everybody. And by the time I graduated school, that job got me through school. But in the UK, the government pay your school fees. So I wasn't using the money to pay for school fees. I was just buying clothes, just using it to feed myself and live my life. I still was not planning a corporate career. When I graduated well. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I'm like, my mom's like, go and get just me a job. I went to uni for you. I'm going back to pursue my music career. Obviously, by now I'm old. I'm like 23. I've like, I've graduated. No career prospects. So I stayed on at the health center for about a year. I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I didn't want to be a receptionist. I retrained as a nutritionist and a personal trainer. A lot of people don't know my first job
Wow.
after school. But the thing is, you're influenced by your environment. And that's the thing. Had I got a job somewhere else, I may have been influenced by that environment. But because I was around people who were making money in the fitness industry, I decided, okay, I want to be a singer. So let me just be a part-time personal trainer. I can make good money, £40 per hour. I can be a nutritionist. I'm already working with healthy iron, high-end clients. So God began to, I did that for about a year and a half. I'm waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning because rich people, they come to the gym by 5, 6 a.m. I lived far. I would have to get up like 3, 4 a.m. just to get to work, get a bus. I wasn't driving. I'd get the bus. I did that for about a year and a half. I said, God, I can't suffer myself like this. How much am I making? I'd have a client at 6 a.m. The next one would be at 2. So I'd be sleeping in between. I was exhausted. And one of my friends said to me, Esther, go and get a job. I'm like, no, I was fighting corporate. I'm like, no, I'm going to be a singer. I'm going to be a pop star. God was just giving me side eye. Like, what are you doing? So around that season, that's when God really started to convict me. I was in the choir, and then I really had encounters with the Holy Spirit. That's when God really spoke to me. I had major, deep encounters and revelations with God during that season. So it eventually broke that dream of being a pop singer. I've shared that testimony so many times with people about everything God showed me. So because I was stubborn, I joined a girl band. We had a manager. We were going to meetings with every record label. But I was serious. I was not even joking. I met Simon Cowell from the X Factor. Like I was networking like crazy. I was gonna, and God saw this girl is not relenting. It was a dramatic Damascus Road kind of experience that I had with the Holy Spirit. If God did not turn me around, I would not have turned around. I'd have been giving Beyonce one for
Yeah.
her money. That's how adamant I was. And so I had to let that dream die, and I just had to let God do what He wanted to do in my life. And I was very in my early to mid 20s. This whole time I was at church. So I said to people, you could be at church but not hearing from God. I just didn't understand this God thing. I just went to church. I was young. It didn't make sense to me. And so with time, career-wise, God got me a job as receptionist in a private bank. And very quickly, within the first 6 to 8 months, they made me the leader. Before I knew it, I got into facilities management. Before I knew it, I started working in real estate, all within the space of like 2 years. And it wasn't like some small company. God got me into a prestigious international kind of, in my first private banking. Then I moved into private equity doing something else. And so I started finding myself very quickly. My career took off at about the age of about, I'd say by then, by the time I did that job, about 24, 25. That is late. Because most of my friends had, as soon as they were 21, they started their job. They were on their second or third job. I was starting my first corporate job at 24, 25 at the bottom. But God really moved very quickly. Then I actually got a job in what I trained in marketing. Got my first marketing manager job. I did that for like 3 years. Then 2008, this is how old I am. Then the credit crunch hit in 2008. Guess who got fired? All the marketing and creative people got fired. From a lot of companies kept making cuts. In the creative department, I said, God, this industry is not stable. I'm not doing this, so I'm not going back. I left. It was unstable. I said, how can they fire the marketing assistant? How they fire all the marketing team? So when companies start, making cuts, it's usually the creative teams that go first, and they try and find other ways to try and increase revenue and stuff like that. So I said, no, this marketing industry is not very, it's not stable. Then I got into tech. When I said I don't know how, this guy called me. Oh, we saw your CV online. Blah, blah. And then first I got into insurance. Some insurance company hired me. I went to an agent. She put me in an insurance company. I was there for like 2 years. They weren't promoting me. I was like some senior insurer. I was just like a senior administrator for the insurance guys. I was like, what kind of a job is this?
Yeah.
I said, well, what's all this? In my mind, like, I just knew. And then God moved me into tech. And I honestly say by then I was like 30. So I'd really say the last 10 years of my transitioning, I took leaps and bounds in terms of salary. And I say this to people, and this is what I'm saying to everything prior to that was God honing my skills, my administration skills, my ability to operate. I'm an operations manager in several industries. I kept moving in operations, managing things, building things, organizing people, creating events was part of one of my role. One of my roles, I did the company Christmas party for 4 years in a row. And I'm talking about over 1,000 people. I single-handedly would organize international events and things like that as part of my previous role. And so God just kept moving me. And then the salary was just ridiculous. And I remember when I broke a major salary threshold, and this is what I tell people with God. I said to God, I don't care about money, and I don't. And I said to the Lord, but I know you're the one that's been leading me. For the past 4 jobs, I have asked God for my exact salary. And the exact salary I asked for is exactly what they give me. And I say this because I'm not asking for 5%, 10%. I ask God for double of what I earn. So I ask God for 50% increments each time. I'm not joking. So I remember when I moved from 30,000 to 60,000 to 90, and I kept saying to God, I want to be on X, Y, and Z. And I challenged God. And it was not the job that I do is it's not even difficult. I work in real estate now. But I challenged God with my career, and I said to God, you're the one taking care of me. You're the one giving me these skills. But I use it in ministry as well because I was also heavily involved in church. And I can speak to people about their career and advise them and say, don't look at the money. A point will come in your life where the money will be on your terms, but be valuable.
Yeah.
The amount of industries that I've worked in, the knowledge, the wisdom, be valuable. It's a very uncomfortable thing when you are full of talent, full of opportunity, and you just want to be for it. Only because we think this is what everyone tells you, oh, this is the benchmark, this is how much we're paying, but it's not always about the money. I'll give you
Yeah.
this final example. I haven't really told much people about this. I'm in this current role for about 2.5 years. When I got made redundant from my last job, I was only there for under a year. The role was new. They created the role. They gave me the salary that I wanted, but it was an international role. But by then, the company had some restructuring. They moved my role to Barcelona. They're like, "Are you going to move to Spain?" Well, what am I doing in Spain? Do I even speak Spanish? And so, but I didn't qualify for redundancy because I hadn't been there for a year. UK law is you get qualified for a redundancy package if you've been working with a company for over a year. I hadn't been there. It's been about 9 months. But the favor I had with the manager, as much as I wasn't qualified, she paid me like 3 months' salary, all my holiday that was due on top of that. She shall put a package together for me to last me at least 3 or 4 months of taking care of myself. And I just knew that was God. And so I sat at home, and by now I was pastoring the church. I was a youth pastor. And I got on the platform that Sunday and I smiled and I said to the church, I said, I'm so excited, I've just been made redundant. And they looked at me and I said, I am excited because I know God is setting me up for something. I said, I don't know what it is, but I'll be back to testify. That is how much my faith had built. And because I started my career late, I'm not joking. God did for me in like 10 years what has taken some people 20 years, 25 years to do.
Wow.
Maybe in less time, maybe six.
Wow.
Yeah,
Gave you a
he
10 in one.
yeah, he did. Literally. Now my problem is this is the issue that I have before I share that testimony. I said, God, I'm done working. I'm at a point where they can't even offer me the salary that I'm worth. I don't even want it. That's how bad it is. I'm done, right? I'm done with corporate. I'm done with what they're trying to offer me. I'm not interested because it stopped being about money. It started becoming about my walk with God and just allowing God to do what He's doing. They couldn't even offer me whatever it is they're trying to offer me. I saw some job. The woman called me up. It's 100 and something. I said no. I said, I said, what's the hours? She said, oh, you have to start at 8 a.m. in the morning. You finish at 6. I said, eh? I said, I'm sorry. I said, what? And this was like a top banking firm. I can't remember. I think it was Goldman Sachs. I think it was actually Goldman that made me the offer. Ridiculous salary plus a bonus. My only question was, what are the working hours? Like, you get to a point where you stop thinking about money because at this point in my life, the will of God, the plan of God for my life is worth more than money. My time. So they said to me, you have to get to the office, but we have a 5-day policy. You'll be in the office because for my role would be to oversee all their real estate assets. And I said, hey, you have to be in the office by 8 a.m. in the morning. Finishing time is at 6. I'm like, we have a 5-day in office policy. I was like, okay, no working from home, nothing. I said, wow. So, and I did the calculation to get into the office by 8. I need to be up by at least 6, out of the house by about maybe call it by
5.
7. Yeah, by 5. Early morning starts. I said, wow. Then I finish at 6. Most times I'll be running to church. I said, I'm sorry. If you're not flexible on the hours, I can't do this job. And I walked away. The agent was like, Esther, this is Goldman. I'm like, I'm sorry. Then this other company came and offered me more money for less time. I only need to be in office 2 to 3 days a week. And they offered me more. And I think God realized by then this girl cannot be bought. And he started to realize, I said, I cannot. I said, you want me to be in the office by 8? That means my prayer time in the morning gets. I said, God, they want to give me money to give up my prayer time. And this is what God says. This is what it means when he says you can't serve God and money. I prioritize my quiet time in the morning. I prioritize rolling out of bed, maybe 5 a.m., maybe 6 a.m. to spend time with God rather than getting up to go to. And I said, God, if you don't give me a job that accommodates this, I'm going to be up. And that job offer came. It looked like on my if I wanted to boast on my CV, I'm like, I work for God. It's like, wow, one of the top banks in the world. I said, I just shook my head like I'm not impressed with your name. I don't send you. I said, no, I'm not interested in your money. And then another agency called me and said, hey, Warner's calling. They're offering this amount. I said, do they work from home? Like, yes, you only need to be in the office 2 to 3 days a week. I said, God bless you. I said, I'll take it. Had the interview. And I said to God, and now, I've been at this company 2.5 years. I work from home. I have time to record my podcast. I have time to do ministry. I have time to travel. I can take my laptop, work from Nigeria. Everything I needed. God is because my priority is my priority, my lifestyle. We're at a point in time where if you do not define your lifestyle, your job will. And what do I mean by
True.
that? Yeah, you have to know the kind of life that you want to live. I said to God, when I get to the point where I have a family and family life comes into it, I will be a full-time mother. I would be at home full time running several businesses because I have a picture of my life more so that I'm not driven by money, I'm driven by lifestyle. And I say to people, the first transition you need to make is your mind, the kind of life you want to live. Don't always be driven by money, be driven by your dreams and aspirations. How do you see your life? My time is so important to me. I go to the gym when I want. My work works around me. I don't work around my job because I get paid for input, not time. And I remember having this argument with one of my managers. I said, do you pay me to be in the office or do you pay me to deliver? What are you paying me for? Because I can sit in this office and not be productive. I can be at home and be highly productive and deliver.
That's
And I
true.
said, yeah, I said, and you have to have those conversations. I said, you can't pay me what I'm worth, but I'd accept this as a token to deliver what you guys want me to deliver. Do you understand? And you have to be bold enough to have those conversations because sometimes we get myopic managers. Oh, get myopic managers who are just obsessed with money and power. Sorry, it's my phone. I should turn my phone off. Can't believe this.
It's
That's why I
okay.
was phone on during the podcast. Who are just managers who are just obsessed. with power and control. So I say to people, and we'll get on to the AI conversation, in this season of the
Yeah.
world of work changing and people
Yeah.
having to reskill, upskill, transition, people
Yeah.
need to start. The first question is, what kind of life do I want to live? That is the first question, not what kind of job do I want to do, because their parents sacrificing time from their children and they don't want to do that. You have to have a job or create a career or a business that works around your lifestyle. I guess me as a single person who doesn't have a family, I can afford to give up more time, but I don't. That's the thing. I've always prioritized my mental and emotional health, and my relationship with God has always come before my job. I don't joke about spending time with God, spending time in prayer, spending time reading my Bible, more so than paying my bills. And therefore, and I would advise people, I'm not saying go and quit your job, don't do that, but get your priorities right, and then
Yeah.
everything else follows. The job offers I have now, what do you want is the question. Not even this is outside. They ask me how much. That's you get to a level where they ask you, what do you want? Do you understand? And you give them
Yeah.
your terms and conditions, because why? I shifted from the mindset when I said yes to God in obedience. I said, God, I'm giving up a career as a pop star. You know how much millions I could have made. This was my conversation with God. I said, Lord, I could have made millions. And you know me, you've given me the gift to write songs. I was writing songs about clubbing. Unfortunately, I'm ashamed to say that I have a few songs that people I get royalties from. I'm ashamed to say it, but they still play in the club. That was how adamant I was that I was going to be a pop star. And God just laughed. I mean, I remember him saying, "You're mine." They said, if you come into my kingdom, I'll give you songs. If you like, it's still unfolding. A lot of my delay has been, again, a lot of my disobedience. I'm quite stubborn, and people don't know with my sweetness, I can be stubborn because I have this idea of this is the life I want to live. And me and God are always tussling. And so you learn very quickly to surrender to God, even your career. And people think their careers is theirs. It's not. When you're a child of God, your career is in His hands.
Mm-hmm.
No one ever told me that I would enjoy working. Esther 20 years ago, that I was crying, oh, I have to get a job, I have to go into corporate, I have to do this. And even to someone that started letting see what God has done and to where He has brought me now, I'm just like, now I'm at the point where I don't want to be a CEO. I don't want to be, they're offering me directors. I don't want it. And I don't want the responsibility. I want to focus on ministry. You get to the point where you outdo, I don't need a badge of honor. I don't need to be C-suite. I said, God, I don't need it. I don't desire it. My next step, I don't want it. I don't want the responsibility. It's never been my desire. And I know it's great for women to climb up the ladder and to be an inspiration to other women. But I said, God, at this point in my life, my mind is fully focused on ministry, setting up a charity. I said, I want to put my time, skill, and energy. So I'm transitioning out. I'm trying to bow out of corporate while people are trying to move in and go up. But I'm using my time to kind of really help people navigate their careers as well. Help people in terms of all the industries that God had me in for the several years, fitness, insurance, private equity, tech, all of it. Now, the company I work for is an entertainment company, but I'm on real estate. And so when I begin to think about all these things, and I say to God's children, be moved by. I remember I said your lifestyle is so much more important. Don't lose your identity in you're not your job. God forbid anything should happen. They'll
Yeah.
replace the person. They'll send flowers or with soil, blah blah blah. They'll replace the person because their priority is their company. Your priority is your God. Your priority is your life and your dreams and aspirations. So I say to people as we come onto the conversation about transitioning and then this whole AI era that we find ourselves in, this is a very critical point. Gracie, you're sharing with me what the Lord's kind of shared with you about, I think you was mentioning something about your own experience about transitioning career-wise and the AI era. Share that with me a little bit and then we can kind of get into that conversation about, I think you mentioned something, just evaluating your
So,
skills.
can you repeat that again, please?
Yeah, I think you're sharing that you're evaluating your skills and in line of what's happening with the new AI revolution and how this is affecting industries and stuff. What did that
Oh
do to your
yeah,
mindset?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So basically, I had to do like a check and balance of my
yeah,
current skills and how the whole revolution of AI is going and the whole adoption of this, right? And I told myself, you know what, I have to be in a place where I need to hold some level of value to a point where when people are being what's
consider.
the word now? Yes, considered to be removed, for a certain skill, I won't be in that position.
Yeah,
So I had to find a way to move, to transition. Like it took years actually for me to move. I actually moved into project management at the
mm-hmm,
time. And even now that I'm working as a marketing executive, project management is infused in marketing,
mm-hmm.
and that's the whole beauty of this role, because I've told myself that whatever happens, my scriptural what's the word now, directive is in Ecclesiastes 6 verse 9 verse 10, that says whatever you find your hands to do, do it with all your might. So like you mentioned earlier, it's no longer about the money. It's about where God is leading you. And my
Yeah,
advice to whoever is watching this is don't take so much time trying to figure it all out, because you won't be able to. If someone
yeah.
had told me 3 years ago that, oh, I'm going to be here, I would not have believed it. But
Mm,
God sees the end from the beginning. So he knows, just start. Sometimes we
yeah,
hear him, but because we have coconut head, we want to do what's on our mind. So once you hear his voice or he gives you a sign, go run with it. And
mm.
the whole journey will make sense eventually, because there are so many AI revolution coming on right now. There are so many industries, from
It's
the
here already. It
software
started.
engineering, yes, the cybersecurity,
Yeah,
data analytics, and all of that. Find where you have interest in and passion for, and
yeah.
start upscaling. That's just it.
Thank you so much, for that Gracie. I'm really like you're just such an inspiration, especially to those coming up and starting industry and just the
Yeah,
first 10 years of allowing God to do what he's going to do. And then you get that professional title. You're a professional at this and you're a professional. And one of the things I want to say to people, work is of God. When we go to work and we have a job, you're not being punished. It's a noble thing to be able to work. People, there's no woman in the Bible who was idle. If we read the Proverbs 31 woman, she had several businesses and jobs and staff. At no point in time was anyone just fully a housewife doing nothing. They all worked. Jacob found Rachel pouring water. She was part of the farmers. Ruth went to work in Boaz's field. She went to work. She came back and got a job. She didn't just sit down at home and did nothing. It's noble for women to work. At no point in time did God
yeah,
ever design us to just do nothing. So I don't want anyone to think that working is punishment. When you have a mindset that work is punishment, you do it lazily, you get jobs that are just going to get you by. You don't think of work as actually, let me find something that I'm good at, put my skill to it, and do something I can be proud of. When you have that mindset that I'm going to do something I could be proud of, you start taking work seriously. So it wasn't a case that someone's lazy. You just need to find where your skills and talents marry. That's where your passion's going to be. That's where you have desire to do the thing you want to do more than anything else. And I just want to encourage people during this AI revolution, it's here already. Check the industry you're in. How is AI likely to affect my current industry? Check
yeah,
out the tools. What is it doing for you tool wise? I've been saying for a little while that my industry is a little bit safe, but I don't know. I don't know. I'm still trying to transition myself out of several things right now, but allow allow yourself to learn, re-educate, go back to school if you need to, get a certification
yes, very
if you
important.
need to. Yeah, get ahead of the game. Get ahead of the game. If you want to transition into a new role, do that now. Look at new opportunities, and that means studying the job. Don't just
Yeah,
go into it because there's more money, right? Study the job. I remember when all my friends were doing business analyst jobs, they're all getting certifications in IT. I'm not an IT person. They're all getting IT certification, data analyst. They're the ones that are being affected by AI now. All of
yeah,
them. having to retrain anything data analytical, anything numbers, anything that requires repetition, uh, patterns, behavior. AI is going to eat your job because it does what they pay you thousands to do in a whole day in seconds. It can read data, it can make correlations, it can give results and make predictions very, very quickly. And these are the jobs of what a lot of analysts do. And a lot of them can't get new contracts now. The machines have taken over. They're now going back to school, retraining, even starting a business, right? So we are at the edge of uh, I don't want to say career revolution, but I would say corporate revolution. I think corporate's gonna crash, and everyone's gonna go back to how life was hundreds of years ago, where you did business with your neighbor. You bought things from people who are local, people online, because everybody is now going to start going back to work for themselves. Not everybody's going to be able to work for a major company. You're now getting to the era, and I love this terminology, the solo entrepreneur. You don't need to
Yes.
hire a whole conglomerate of staff. One person with AI tools can run their whole business if they have the right tools. That's the era we're living in. AI has taken over multiple roles and it's automating functions very, very, very quickly. So instead of thinking about getting a new job, I would take time to look at the market, look at the job market. Where do you fit? Is work what you're looking for? And is there another opportunity for you to actually make money doing something else? Gracie, anything you want to add before we kind of round up over the next 5 minutes? Anything you want to share that's really going to help people? Because your journey has been one of God's guiding, God's leading, lessons, and consistent transition from roles, from salary, from position. And then what's God saying to you now? What's really on your heart in terms of how you're feeling about the market and where you're at personally?
So personally, in a very grateful phase because all of this didn't happen in 1 year or five. It took me years of
Mm,
asking myself, am I good enough? It took me so many years of having imposter syndrome. And here we're here now, and I realized that all the while it was just the devil trying to say negative things to me. And one passage that actually helped me throughout all of this season of transitioning was the passage just says, when the time is right, I, the Lord, will make it happen, which is Isaiah 60, verse 22. It's my favorite passage in the Bible. And if you're watching this and you feel like you can relate to my story of, leaving home to feed home or leaving home to get a better life for yourself or your loved ones, and you feel like you're not seeing the light yet, right? I just want you to know that your timing is not God's timing. It will happen when it should happen, as it should happen. Until then, try and upskill, get certified, get certificate. Intern if you have to, don't bother about your
mm.
age. Intern, volunteer if you have to, do freelance. Just keep yourself busy doing something very productive. So when the opportunity comes, it meets you prepared. So that's what I have to say about this. And I wish you all the best and see you at the top.
Gracia, thank you so much. You're such an inspiration. I feel honored to have you because I'm telling you, in months, weeks, years to come, we'll look back and say, wow, look what God is doing. And I'm telling you now, this is just the beginning. He has so much in store. And I strongly feel in Nigeria, outside of Nigeria, God's going to make you a voice. And yeah, just stay connected to him and what he's doing and then allow him to just allow that to unfold. Let me close out the show and then I'll give you back some time. Wow, guys, we had a lot to say. Thank you so much for joining us for the Wise Women podcast. And I'm so excited and I'm so grateful that I get to do this and bring on amazing people. And I'm sure out of Gracio's story, you can relate and you've heard something that's going to inspire you and encourage you. If you feel like God is taking you on a journey, sometimes, I think it was Apostle Selman that said that you just have to step out. Everything else makes sense after. And it's so true. You can't always predict what's going to happen or how it's going to happen. Just trust. If God is the one leading you, he will lead you aright. You cannot fail. For those of you who are in transition, your careers, you want to do a different job, you're not sure. As I said, number one, be prayerful about it. See what God would have you do. And number two, Understand the times. The sons of Issachar understood the times and seasons. Understand the times we are in as far as the world of work. For those of you who are in a corporate space, those of you who are business people, and a lot of people run their own businesses, how can you enhance your business? So take time to study before you take a move and just see what God is doing, what direction He's moving you into. And I'm sure He Himself will order your steps. Okay, guys, I'll be back next week with another guest. We are sticking to our theme this month of purpose. My guest next week is going to be talking about the kind of work that she's doing, and I know that she's going to be a blessing to you. Thank you so much for joining us for the Wise Women podcast, and we'll see you again next week. God bless you. Bye.